Hey you guys, I am back again, and I want to start off by saying that I'm putting this message onto a physical and emotional body healing tone. Because I know this topic is very touchy, one thing that I want to get started on is the fact that there are a lot of gay men in our society that are not only being attacked for their preference, but the shame that follows them choosing their life choice and why it comes from men so often. So this goes back to the previous video that I was talking about how family secrets do more harm than good. So with family secrets, a lot of men that I personally encountered, again, I'm speaking for myself and what I've experienced and the gay men that I've met and the straight men who are gay that I've met. So through my experience, just 26 years walking through this life, um, I was able to meet a variety of different people. And the one thing that I noticed with the things that bonded them and the things that held their identity together was the trauma surrounded around their past. So I personally know gay men who were sexually abused as children and ultimately chose that as a preference to continue to choose as an adult. So there are different ways that we process trauma. So, for instance, I've met men who have been sexually abused by women and decided that they were never going to be with a woman ever again, so that they chose to be a gay man. And I have encountered the exact opposite, where there are men who were abused by men, and that preference stayed with them throughout their adult life because of the pains that they have surrounded around that, whether it be the mother putting them in neglectful situations or just them not healing properly from their trauma. So it's been recycling over and over again in their daily preference as being a gay man. Now, this is not a cookie cutter definition of what is gay and what is straight. I'm just talking about my personal experiences and what I have witnessed with my own eyes and the stories that people have personally felt comfortable enough telling me. So one thing that I know about gay men is that in our society, we don't really see a masculine gay couple. We only see gay men being feminized, and we see them in a feminine position. So that's sort of the only ideology that we have of gay men, unless you've personally met them before. So with that being the only sort of stigma, the only sort of thing that we associate gay men with is being a feminine, it makes it a lot harder for a masculine man who maybe is bisexual or they are a gay man themselves to come out as gay. So with society being the way that it is, Black people don't really encourage the free expression that is being gay, because a lot of times, being a not being straight in your household could lead to you being kicked out. I've heard stories of people who, showed these feminine characteristics and their parents just completely shaming them, completely shunning them. And it's something about this energy that just keeps cycling and keeps cycling. And until we go back and really recognize where exactly it's coming from, we won't be able to understand why it keeps permeating in our society and why this inability to accept someone for who they are is so preferred in our society. So one thing that I want you guys to understand and really get a grasp on is that during slavery, we endured a lot of dehumanization, a lot of sexual trauma, and a lot of physical trauma as well. It goes a lot deeper than us just hanging from trees, okay? It goes a lot deeper than that. And with the trauma that's associated with the unhealed the unhealed energy from slavery that is causing the shame to keep cycling and cycling over and over again. So I'm going to speak personally on things that I have witnessed and people who have been kind enough to share their stories with me. One thing that I have experienced is that a man was sexually abused by his own father. And from that point on, all he did was want to be with the man. So there are certain things and certain triggers that sort of, oh, thank you. They sort of make us choose our preference, such as a sexual assault, things like that, and even sexual relationships with family members as well. So these sort of things sort of cause our preference to be chosen for us, unfortunately. But these are also things that we can address and we can understand, and we can start to realize why we are in these situations that we are in. So there are men that have been sexually abused by men, and they are trying to fight that energy of wanting a man, and they're trying to figure out why they have this energy in them. So instead of healing and instead of understanding why that energy is still so prevalent in their body and in their minds, they are in turn just out here hurting women and still not feeling that satisfaction that satisfaction that they feel when they are with a man, if you understand what I'm saying, or with their guy friends and things of that nature. So with the unhealed energy and with the unhealed spirit, and the unhealed trauma becomes a prevalent problem in the day-to-day activities and how you move, how you act, and how you treat other people. So one thing that you have to keep in mind is that not only is it something that you have to first identify why you have this resonating so deeply within you, you have to then understand and process that, there might have been something that happened to you that, your family will never speak on, because like I said, family secrets do a lot more harm than good, because that bottled up shame only causes more problems in the long run. So with the men that I've met and the men who have been sexually abused by other men, a lot of them either chose that gay lifestyle as their identity, just because of, the trauma associated with what happened to them. And we all understand that the male pleasure organ, I don't even know the technical name for it, but it's in the anus. So there is a lot of traumatic things that happened during that time and during that experience that caused them to feel like this is the preference that they choose. So one thing that we have to do is identify as a community why we feel so much shame when we see a gay man, why we feel so shameful when we see a gay couple, and why we feel this energy of pain and disgust when we see two men together. It's something that we never talk about, and it's something that is so deep rooted into our DNA and into our every being as Black people, that we don't even realize when we are causing more harm than we are to our healing, if you understand what I'm saying. Because just shaming someone for their sexual preference and not even understanding their backstory or understanding exactly what happened to them as a person, it causes more problems, because then in turn, if you yourself are a man and you're shaming other men in front of your son who may just naturally want to be with the man, that causes him to grow up confused, because he's also going to be seeking acceptance from you, from society. So he's going to be with a woman when he hates women, and he doesn't want to be with a woman. So this energy of this machismo, masculine bullshit has to be addressed, and nobody is talking about it. So I do not mind being the first person to talk about it, especially within the community, because it's something that we have to first identify the trauma associated with this sexual preference to begin with. And once we address that trauma that's associated with that preference, then we can better understand and better gauge why, relatives might choose this lifestyle, friends, and even strangers, and grow to accept them for who they are instead of persecuting them because of our own traumas and our own pains that we have resonating within us. So one thing that I really want to share with you guys is that not only is it okay to come out, I mean, this is honestly the perfect time to come out as gay, because 2020 is full of craziness. Like, nobody cares about your sexual preference. Nobody's going to care unless you've actively built a life around hiding it and hiding your preference. Nobody is going to personally be invested in your sexual preference. Nobody. It's just, there's so much going on in the world. There was a fire tornado like last month. We had a super hurricane. No, the society that you think is going to shame you for coming out does not care. At the end of the day, they'll find something new to talk about next week. So it's one thing to be scared to come out, and it's another thing to be scared to express yourself to your family members and to your friends. So if you have friends that are, gay bashing and not very friendly towards gay men, then you have to then identify with yourself, do you really want these friends? Do you really want these people to be your friends? Because you have to realize that you created this life surrounded around lies. You created a life surrounded around an identity that you chose to create because of the shame that you have still resonating within yourself, and the shame that we perpetuate throughout our community. So because you aren't living in your true self, it's caused you to literally create a whole life surrounded around the shame of being who you are. So coming out and being who you are, if people choose to accept you, that is beautiful. If they choose not to, that's also a beautiful thing, because now you see who was good for you and who was not, and who was never really entertaining your true authentic self. So one thing that I want to really stress and really get across is that a lot of men who attack gay men have had similar experiences with these gay men. So when I say that, a lot of men that I know personally who are secretly gay and who have endured sexual trauma, they go on like gay bashing rants and things like that, and deep down they have dealt with either a lot of trauma surrounded around men, and a lot of trauma that has been perpetuated over and over and over again, to the point where they feel like it is normal to attack a man for his own sexual preference, if you understand what I'm saying. So one thing that I've experienced, one thing that men like to do as like a fun thing is just call each other, gay, and just go, like I said, they go on rants about gay men. And it's one thing to attack someone physically for who they are and who they preference, because that has to do with a lot of deep-rooted problems that you have, to see yourself in a gay man and not and to identify with them and choose to attack them and not accept them for who they are. That's a lot of things that you have to recognize and understand, that this is just trauma circulating around. So with our society, men are not allowed to be gay. And we can be honest and say that they are not allowed to be a masculine gay man. And unfortunately, A lot of men, like I said, have created whole lives with women, and they don't even prefer women. They don't even like women. So they have this ongoing shame and this ongoing fake life that they have literally created and that they've made friends in. And they're at this point where, if they do come out and finally be themselves, they will lose everything. And the only thing that you lose is people who were never for you in the first place. You created this whole fake life, this whole identity surrounded around someone that you just weren't, someone that was acceptable in society, and someone that is deemed like more acceptable as a Black man. And we have to really identify what defines a Black man, because so many times we identify Black men as how much money they have and who they're fucking. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's one of those things where we just have to understand that men are people too. We've been on this dehumanizing train for so long, especially with Black men, that we still don't give them a chance to be human. And we have to let them have free spaces, free flowing ideas, so that they can understand that being themselves is okay. And I've met so many straight men who are gay, who are just flat out gay, because my gaydar is never wrong. And they still to this day are publicly shaming gay men. They shame them online. They have all of this deep-rooted pain and unhealed trauma that was never checked and never addressed. And I feel like because the trauma was so deep and it was so harmful to their spirit and their emotional state, all they do is go on the attack. That's all they do all the time, just attack. And what we do as a culture is not only encourage that, but we don't really give them enough options to be themselves. We don't really give them enough options to be a full person, because we always put them in the box. They're either rich or they're broke. And if they're broke, they don't get any sort of respect or anything like that in our societies. All we do is respect the man who is like super masculine and has a lot of money. So we have to start allowing avenues for all men to be themselves, to express themselves freely, and to be able to open up with the truth of who they are. Because so many men are scared to open up because they know that they will lose their friends, they will probably lose their family as well, and they are just scared to be themselves. And that's a sad existence to have, to be scared to show your true authentic self because of the people that you will lose. And again, if you are ashamed of yourself and ashamed to be yourself, and you're scared to lose people in the process, those people were never for you in the first place. And you have to understand that. If you're scared to lose somebody, baby, they were never meant to be there. Okay? Because real friends don't change, and real friends don't switch up no matter what the situation is. And if you are gay, it is perfectly fine. It's 2020. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, I don't know how many times I have to stress this. Nobody cares. The only person that is holding that shame and that pain is yourself. And you have to really identify with yourself and understand why this trauma is so deep rooted and why this pain is so heavy. So like I said, everyone's trauma is different. I'm not trying to put people's traumas in a box. Some people just wake up gay, and other people were unfortunately made that way. So it's hard for me to just say this is gay, this is straight, and that's just it, because a lot of times it's always gray areas. It's always blurred lines in between sexuality itself. So one thing that we have to do is accept people for who they are, continue to allow people to speak their truth, and to continue to allow people to be their true authentic selves. Because as a Black community, we put ourselves in such a small, tight box of what is cool, what is not cool, and what is a man, what is a woman, that we don't even allow the people, the alternative views, to even speak up and even have a chance to voice who they are and in the knowing of who they are. So I'm just going to leave this right here. I hope you guys look back, and I really hope nobody's offended by this, because again, I'm just speaking on the people that I've met, the men that have shared their stories with me, their personal stories, and things that I have experienced myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed morning therapy, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.